Hey guys, this is Candle, and y'all had to know this was happening eventually. So, a couple of years ago, in 2020, MYST got a full brand new remake. It was in VR, and eventually that came to Steam, which allows us to play it in 2D. Now, I have gone through and played this in VR already, which is just absolutely amazing. I highly recommend it to just about anybody who has a VR headset. But I didn't record that because it was over a year ago. My computer wasn't really up to snuff for that. Instead, we're going to be doing the 2D version of it, which also looks incredible. And yeah. So just to talk about for a second, there are a couple settings in here. And there's classic video mode, which allows, it replaces all the updated character videos with classic FMV style videos from the original MYST. So basically what that means is they redid all the FMVs from the game. They did them in a kind of a stylized aesthetic, so they're not live action anymore, unfortunately. But I do think they reused the exact same audio, so they may have cleaned it up a bit. But yes, this game we are doing in 4K, 60 FPS, with ray tracing, and let's go ahead and start a new game. So this is the other big thing. Puzzle solution preference. If you're new to MYST, we recommend selecting Classic. Well, I am not new to MYST. If you are, I would also recommend Classic. Now, what this actually means is, as I reach for a pen, most of the puzzles in MYST are environmentally based, so they can't really change the solutions and keys to that. However, there are certain puzzles that they can change that, and those now have new randomized answers, and I'll kind of point them out when we get there. So that we're going to do the randomized, though. And believe me, this is amazing in VR. Like, you're standing in this 3D environment, you can actually look up at this.
I realized the moment I fell into the fissure that the book would not be destroyed as I had planned. It continued falling into that starry expanse of which I had only a fleeting glimpse. I've tried to speculate where it might have landed, but I must admit that such conjecture is futile. Still, questions about whose hands might one day hold my MYST book are unsettling to me. I know my apprehensions might never be allayed, and so I close, realizing that perhaps the ending has not yet been written.
There we go. And there's the MYST book, and this is free roam. So let's go ahead and move forward. I love the music for this. We got our little tour of the MYST Island, our little flyby here. A little preview of where we're going next. And it even shows us exactly where we're going to pop in, too. Right on the dock here. Alright, let's go. Seriously, this game is amazing in VR. If you ever have the chance to play it that way, I would highly recommend it. Again, it's on Oculus Quest and Quest 2. It's also on the Oculus Store for Rift and Rift S, but it's also on Steam, and it's playable with just about any VR headset on PC. I would hope eventually it comes to PlayStation VR 2 as well. But yeah, this is just absolutely gorgeous. And it's amazing seeing it in VR as well. Oh, man. And of course, a lot of these interfaces were redesigned with VR in mind, so this would be like an actual lever you manually lift. I am very familiar with this game, so we're going to pretty much breeze through it. The only thing that might give me pause is getting the new randomized keys. But I'm still going to try to show pretty much everything off that I can. Including our first little clue here. Catherine, I've left for you a message of utmost importance in our four-chamber beside the dock. Enter the number of marker switches on this island into the imager to retrieve the message. Yours, Atris. Alright. A little bit of frame stutter there. So we've got another switch there. By the way, those are marker switches. I'm just going to go ahead and run around and turn them all on, or at least all the ones we can get to, and there is a specific reason for that. If you've watched any of my other Let's Plays, or played this for yourself, or watched somebody else play it, because I've done multiple versions of this game, you'll know what these marker switches actually do. Yeah, I've done with this, I will have done every single version of MYST, with the exception of the original 1993 release, MYST Classic. And there's just literally no reason to go back and play MYST Classic now. If you're going to play that kind of style, yeah, that's the one we can't get to. If you're going to play that kind of style, you'd be better off with MYST Masterpiece. It's high resolution, more colors, but other than that, it's pretty much the exact same game. It also includes an in-game map, though. Alright, so the 4-chamber that was mentioned in that letter is right over here. So let's go ahead and press that button, and down we go. Oh, this game is gorgeous. Seriously, it's amazing in VR, too. Did I fix the audio? Hold on. Okay, good. Sorry, I bumped it down while I was playing in VR because it was just enormously loud in my ears. So we've got a little holographic display here, and this just turns it on or off. It's showing water right now. Here's where we actually change it. So settings, dimensional imager, topographical extrusion test, marker switch diagram, water turbulent pool, which is 67. And if we actually look, it's set to 67 now, so that's what it's currently on, is the water. We take a look at 47 and turn it back on. If you didn't already know what the marker switches were, you do now. So now you would go out and count them up. I already know how many, though. But we're also going to take a look at the topographical extrusion test. Which is this. You know, again, it's a holographic imager. And it's amazing seeing it in VR. Alright, but what we're really here for is number 8 for the number of marker switches. Alright, and we're finally going to see what the new sequences look like without FMVs, because this would normally be a floating head, a live floating head.
Most of my books have been destroyed. Catherine, it's one of our sons. I suspect Achenar. But I shouldn't leap to conclusions. I'll find him and Cirrus as well. I should have known not to have left my library unchecked for so long. I've removed the remaining undamaged books from the library and placed them in the places of protection. You shouldn't have to use the books until I return, but if you've forgotten access key, remember the tower rotation, and don't worry, Catherine. Everything will be fine. I'll see you shortly. Oh, and erase this message after you've viewed it, just to be safe.
Well, Catherine never got the message, because that's still there, and we are not Catherine. No, we are an unnamed player, who's literally in canon just called the player, pretty much. Now, we just happened to stumble across Atris's lost MYST book and travel here in the aftermath of apparently some great tragedy. You know, Atris's library has been destroyed. Hold up, why am I getting stuttering? What's going on? Weird. Okay, hold on. Just a second. I may need to bump down some of the display or graphics settings. Graphics. DLSS, balance. Let's actually turn that to performance. There we go. That should fix that. It might degrade the image quality just a little bit, but hopefully we won't get any more weird slowdowns like that. Alright, so this is the library. And you can see straight off the bat, like, most of these books have been burned. There are a few here we can actually check out, but most of them have been burned. And we've also got other stuff going on here, including a holographic map of the island, including a dial here that we physically spin. In VR, you would actually physically spin this. And that turns the tower. Like Atris said, remember the tower rotation. That turns the tower. How do I get back out of here? There we go. So if we actually go back and look up, that's the tower he was talking about. You know, I watched a Let's Play a while back as somebody who ended up spending 8 hours in this game because they were just overlooking, not paying attention to certain things. And for the life of them, it took them like over an hour to figure out what was meant by the tower rotation. It was kind of hilarious, actually. But yeah, beyond that, we have a blue book with a pair of machetes on it and a red book with a gem on it. And that is an amazing nod to MYST 4. Because the original version, and in fact, all previous versions of this game, they are just blank on the front. You just have a red and a blue book. But this is basically saying, yeah, MYST 4 is completely canon. We are retconning what these books actually do, which has interesting implications for Riven. Because Riven features a book that is similar to these two, that does pretty much the exact same as it's presented in here. And we've never gotten confirmation that it actually does what these books say they do in MYST 4. However, if we take a look at this book, open it up, there is nothing. Just static. So let's close that back up. Let's take that page and put it in. And now if we take a look,
you must help me. Bring me a red page. I can't see it. Need a red page. You must. Please bring it. Beg of you, bring page. Help me. I am serious. Give it up long ago. There's one thing I know to be rescued. You must.
alright. So that is our first introduction to Cirrus, one of Atris's two sons. He is trapped in this book, and he wants us to bring him more red pages so that he can be freed. So, if that's what the red book does, what about the blue book? Well, if you open it up, it's just going to be more static. But if we put this page in, by the way, this is an actual real constructed language here, a conlang called Dunny, which is named after the civilization that made it, Dunny, which is, you know, in universe to MYST. It's like an actual language. You can learn to read and possibly speak it. I'm not sure about speaking it. I can't actually read it, so I have no idea if this actually says anything. However, we're just going to put that in there and take a look.
Serious? Stop. You. Seal? You must reckon on. Help me. Bring me pages. Forever and ever. Pages. Have the blue pages. To me.
Alright, so that is Cirrus's brother Achenar, and right off the bat you can tell he's a little bit unhinged, whereas Cirrus is calm and collected. And the interplay between these two brothers is really interesting. Basically, the main thrust of the game is to try to figure out what happened on MYST Island, what happened to Atris's library, and which brother, if either of them, is responsible. So, what we have to do is visit the various ages of MYST, and again, piece together the information, gather the pages, and start piecing together the story, and figure it all out. And the books, you know, that link us to those various ages, like the MYST book that brought us here, are hidden in what Atris calls safe places, protected spaces. And what I find very curious and interesting is each one is in a specific place that is themed to that age. So how lucky was Atris that he already had 5 safe spaces in place, or 4 safe spaces. Is it 4 or 5? Yeah, it's 4 safe spaces in place for the books that actually survived. So they are, up here we have this gear is the mechanical age. This sunken ship is the access to the stone ship age. This lumbering tower of a tree here is access to the channelwood age. And this rocket ship is access to the Selenitic age, or as I called it as a kid, the Selentic age. Now what's interesting is this game does make nods to further canon established in Real Myst and Real Myst Masterpiece. For example, we have Tiana's Grave here, which is only available in this version as well as Real Myst and Real Myst Masterpiece, because those are the only ones that offer free roaming. Myst Classic and Myst Masterpiece do not allow you to free roam. They only have point-and-click navigation through various first-person camera sets. And this is Tiana's Grave, Tiana being Atris's grandmother. This is where she's buried. And again, her name is written on the gravestone in Dunny as Tiana. And but that's like the only nod to the further canon established in Real Myst and Real Myst Masterpiece, because those included a 5th age accessible only after the game was ended, called Rhyme, which had an extra bonus illusion or Easter egg alluding to Riven, which is the sequel to Myst. Actually, that was the tagline of Riven, was the sequel to Myst. And the access to that was hidden in here, and you can tell by the fact that there are no seams, no hidden doors here, that Rhyme does not exist. Also, by the fact that the way to open that door does not exist. Because the way to open that door was back in the 4 chamber. You know, basically with the dimensional imager and the, message from Atris. It was back in here. You had a hidden button on the back here, again, only accessible in Real Myst and Real Myst Masterpiece because of free roaming. That would basically cause this to turn around and open up a lever that would open up the door to access the hiding place for the Rhyme book. But unfortunately, that is not included in Myst 2020. I really wish it was. I would have loved to experience Rhyme in VR as well, but unfortunately it is not. So, what we need to do is figure out the various keys in order to access these ages and go to them and figure out what's going on. And the way to do that is in here, but first, we are going to go to the mechanical age first. Let's take a look at the journal for the mechanical age and learn a bit about it. Before arriving in this age, I was determined that it would be a journey to a world very different from my previous adventures, and it was. The sky here is dark and gray and incessantly displays flashes of lightning in the distance. I met a very old man with a long beard and hair that hangs to his waist. He is very feeble and has trouble even moving. This man has obviously been through very many things in this strange world, and I have learned many things from him. He has told me an interesting story of this world's history. Years ago, he told me, there was a beautiful city that rose up out of the water. It housed many people inside its walls, and the people had everything they wished for. The city was surrounded by 3 high hills, which rose higher than the city. On the east hill of the city rested a large lookout post. The people of the city had constructed the post, expecting visitors to arrive from the east. The people had no means of traveling on the water, which forced them to merely wait for friend or foe. As time passed, friendly visitors brought rumors of an enemy that existed beyond the horizon. The people grew fearful, yet nothing happened. One day, the usually sunny sky became as dark as night, and black ships appeared on the horizon. The lookout post's attempts at peace were turned away, and the sentries there were easily overwhelmed. The ships continued to wreak havoc on the city, apparently destroying everyone and everything. After the foundations of the city were destroyed, the city sunk deep into the ocean, and only the lookout post remained. The black ships sailed away. The man continued to say that 8 people had hidden and managed to survive through the attack. In the 9 years since the attack, 2 of the survivors had died. He also said that it was rumored that 10 years from the attack, the enemy would return to finish the destruction they had started so long ago. I have decided, since hearing the man's story, it would be admirable to save this civilization and stop this enemy's plan of destruction. I am excited about the adventure that awaits me, and an idea has sparked in my mind to provide the needed defense for these people. I met the remaining survivors today and have begun work on a plan for protection. After a short absence, I have returned to this age with my 2 sons. They have, as of yet, traveled rarely with me, and they are understandably excited to be here. They have grown considerably since Everdunes, and it is already obvious to me that they will be a great help this time, instead of the nuisance they have been in the past. All 3 of us, along with 4 of the healthier survivors, began construction today. We are building upon the old city's ruins, which will provide a perfect foundation for our fortress. My sons have been spending much of their spare time on the South Island, where most of my materials are stored. I am very pleased with their intelligence, and their creativity is refreshing to see as they work on some small projects of their own. It has been over 4 months now, and construction is going well. My sons love the world except for its gray sky. They detest the gray sky and tell me many times they wish the sky here were like the blue sky in MYST. The old man I first talked to tells me that the enemy is due in 4 months. I feel we will be ready when the time comes. The man reminds me of Emmett in many ways, and I often wonder how Emmett and his people are doing. It has been 6 months of work, and we have finally finished the fortress. It rests between the 3 hills, which are now only islands due to a rising water level that the people experienced after the attack. Inside the fortress, I have designed a most intriguing device. It makes use of a technology called holography I began experimenting with on my visits to Aspermere. It will be working in a couple of days after I compensate for some small miscalculations. This holographic device will enable the survivors to learn to use the fortress. Why Atris didn't just incorporate the holographic device into the controls for the fortress themselves, I don't really know, because that would have made the most sense. But this is a video game, they needed to add an extra puzzle and stuff like that, so... The enemy is due to come soon, and I trust the fortress will provide sufficient protection for all of us. Here we have a map of the Mechanical Age. So this is the South Island where we first arrived. This is the East Island, the North Island. And when we get there, you'll see the scope, belies the fact that they talk about a city lying between these 3 hills that eventually became islands, because it doesn't really make sense in terms of scale to have been a city there at one point. Anyways, moving on. The black ships have come. Their attack was substantial. Their weapons have been stopped, and it appears they have turned away in defeat. I could not help but smile as I watched the boats leave. Last night, we had a small celebration, and the old survivors danced their dances of old. My sons did not understand why the sky had not turned back to its original blue. The old man told them that the storms would never end until the enemy was destroyed. I assured my sons that the blue sky was not worth the risk of death, and they seemed to hear me. I have had a healthy adventure and have begun work on a new book. Once again, I must leave a familiar age in search of a new universe I have begun. But first, I will have an extended time with Catherine, whom I miss very much. I must also return to the people of the Tide. I believe in my travels I have found a substance that will ease the pain of their bone ailments that they have long endured. I hope to return to Mechanical Age one day and find the population growing and my fortress still strong. Though the sky may always be black, I am confident the people here feel a heavier darkness has been lifted from their shoulders. So from Atris's journals, we kind of get a sense of his person, a sense of his personality and who he is. He's kind of ever optimistic, always hopping from one project to the next, never staying in one place for too long. And we get our first hints at the lore that ties everything together and how these books are able to link us to various new worlds called ages. And the fact that they're called ages, as a kid, that made me think we were traveling through time. We're not. These are various different discrete universes and worlds. So, how do we get to Mechanical Age again, then? Well, the access point is in the mechanical gear up here, but it's locked off right now. We can't actually get in there. So what we have to do is remember the tower rotation, which we've already done. It's already set to Mechanical Age, set to the gears. So how do we actually access the tower then, which is behind the library? Well, we have these 2 paintings here. One is an open door, which is what's shown here, and one is an open passage with steps, which would actually be here, but it's not open. In previous versions, you just, click the, oh, that actually still works. Interesting. In VR, you have to pull this lever down in order to get it to work. But here you can actually just, tap the, painting, and that does it. So yes, that opened up the passage here, leading back to the tower. Let's go ahead and open that up. And up we go from the library. Oh, gotta close the door first. Safety and all that. Close the library, and off we go. Up to the tower. Now, the tower serves two purposes. It is, first and foremost, to confirm for you the hiding place of the book. VR, you have to actually climb this yourself. So there is the hiding place of the book. It's in the gear. The other... How do I get down? There we go. The other is to provide you the keys to access that book. So here's the key. 205223. That is the class... We're playing on randomized, right? Because that is the... I'm pretty sure that is the classic answer for this. And these are the keys that actually get randomized. So 205223. I swear we're playing on randomized. But it gave us the classic answer. Alright, so now we have to figure out where to use these clues. And again, we're trying to access the mechanical age. Well, what on the island is mechanical? I mean, obviously we have the tower here as mechanical, but that doesn't count. That's just part of MYST Island itself. By the way, the door to get out is closed. You just click on the painting here, and now we can get out. So what on the island is mechanical? Well, we have the gear itself as mechanical, but that's not where we need to go to open it up. Instead, we have the clock tower down here. This is where we need to go. And this, again, was completely redesigned for VR. This was originally just a box on the ground with some dials on it. Here, you have to actually manipulate these. So get to 205. Your answers may be different. Click the button, and there we go. We have a pathway out to the clock tower coming up. Another clue that this is for the mechanical age is the gear-shaped base and the gear-shaped base of the island where the clock tower is. So let's go ahead and turn on our last marker switch. This is the only one we didn't have previously on, which is why the clock tower itself didn't appear on the map. And we open this up. And again, we have a gear here, a whole bunch of gears here, and a combination. This is where the 223 comes in. We have to maneuver these around, but the problem is you press the left lever, and that moves the bottom two. You do the top lever, and it does the top two. And you've got this counterweight here that when it reaches the bottom, you have to reset it with this lever, because otherwise you can't spin the gears any further. Now, the key to this is insanely stupid. Even so much that the original designers of this game, Rand and Robin Miller, the original co-founders of Cyan Worlds, have admitted as much, that they had something much more elaborate planned, but they had technical difficulties, or they just ran out of time or something like that. So what they ended up doing was, just tap the lever to spin them once, but... Alright, let's go ahead and get the 2. Now just hold one of the levers, and the middle gear spins on its own. There we go. And then this opens up. Yeah, this spins around, opening up. And now the way to mechanical age is open. And that means that the gear itself should be open as well. Way up here. Yeah, you can already see the gear is already open. And the book to MYST is open now as well. Or the book to the mechanical age is open now as well. We get our little preview of the island here. But I accidentally clicked on it a little too early, so we don't get our proper flyby.